Hello, I'm Bill Moore on the MAPL faculty, and with me today is Bree Halverson, a MAPL alumna. What year?
I'm the cohort 2.
Cohort 2, one of the original MAPLers. And Bree has graciously agreed to spend some time with me today, and with the help of another MAPL alum, John C., behind the camera, to discuss her work with the Working America, which is an affiliate. It's the non-union, if that makes any sense, the non-union affiliate of the AFL-CIO. And Bree's going to talk about that a little bit. But first, I'd like to ask you, Bree, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Bree Halverson. I grew up in Iowa, so I came up to Minnesota to go to the University of Minnesota. My dad graduated from there, so I also wanted to go to the same college. And I had always been very interested in politics, so as a political science major. My family comes from a strong Democratic background, so I got involved in the college Democrats and working politics. And I found that I didn't feel that the issues I wanted to work on, which was actually women's issues, making sure that women had equal pay and equal attention, were getting addressed doing the typical Democratic things I was doing. And I was a little disgruntled. And my friend John Grebner, who had a internship with AFSCME Council 14 at the time, they're now AFSCME Council 5, said, hey, there's an internship you can get at the St. Paul Trades and Labor Assembly. And you can start working on the mayoral race for Jay Beninoff, who was running for St. Paul mayor back in 2001. And I said, okay, well, I'll buy some time because it's $100 a month and I could probably use an extra $100, right? So, and I ended up, that's where I met President Cher Knudsen. She was the president there, and really got to be mentored by her and learned all about the labor movement. And I really felt that if women were ever going to have justice in the workplace, that they needed a union and needed a voice. And so, and if we ever wanted our economy to be better, people needed to have an identity about economic justice. And so, I also just really enjoyed all of the people at the St. Paul Trades and Labor and all the different unions and the passion of these members who worked, 8 to 10 hours a day, and then would come to a meeting and would come to a phone bank or, or whatever the Regional Labor Federation needed. Well, because we're the Regional Labor Federation now, but to make everyone's life better. So, and I wanted to be a part of that, and it just clicked. So it was like a light bulb moment. And then after I graduated from college in 2002, I got hired on full time, and I needed a union card, and the machinists were gracious enough to represent me. So it was a contract of 1, and not only did they just represent my contract at a AFL-CIO group, but I was brought into the fold. Like, I was a member. I was, they expected me to come to the meetings, and so I did.
What local? That wasn't the airline local.
No, it was Local Lodge 459
okay.
of the machinists. So they represented a lot of the factories, and their major plant, or their major group now, are the water treatment facility for Metro Waste. So, because a lot of the membership of that local got shrunk after NAFTA.
Okay.
So, but I also got that rank and file experience, which was, I think, invaluable for me to work politics at the Regional Labor Federation. So, and I stayed there for 10 years. So.
And somewhere along the line you went to MAPL.
And somewhere along the line I went to MAPL. In 2006 I went to MAPL to help further my education. I was encouraged by Cher, who knew why, to make sure that I was getting a broader knowledge about politics, organizing, community work. So at the time it was really a focus of labor, nonprofits, and community organizing, and how all of those fit together to move policy and good policy.
Where did you do your internship? On that, right at the,
I did one internship with Bree Hess, who was running
Okay.
for city council.
oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And we did not win, so
Lucky for the labor movement.
lucky for the labor
Keep
movement.
burning in the ranks.
Yeah. And then my second internship was with the Regional Labor Federation, but I was specifically working on lobbying for the Central Corridor line, which will now be done in 2014.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, tell us about Working America. What it is. What do you do?
Yeah.
What's your role there?
Working America.
How'd you get involved with them to begin with?
Well, I knew Working America from working at the St. Paul Regional Labor Federation. So David Wade, who was part of Working America at the time, helped us out with Rock 10, which was the heat source that they had, or the fuel source that they had for their boilers was converted from a coal-fired plant to natural gas. And so they couldn't get the steam heat at the Rock 10 paper recycling facility in St. Paul that they needed. So they needed to find another source to be able to.
So they were on the district heating, right?
They're not. They're actually on XL. They have natural gas, but there was
Okay.
a really long process because they wanted to put in a RDF burner, which is a garbage burner, basically. It's a little bit different than the open pit garbage burner that Minneapolis has. But there was a big neighborhood group that wanted to just get rid of the plant altogether. And so
Okay.
we used Working in America to help talk to the community about why it was important to keep 500 jobs in the city of St. Paul and why this paper recycling plant was extremely important for the region. It's actually the only type of paper recycling plant in the state of Minnesota of its type. So that takes paper and recycles it into new
So
stuff.
it's a good paying.
Good paying job.
Green union job.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
a good job. It's and people make a good wage, and it supports 500 people that live predominantly in Ramsey County. So it actually helps the whole county. And so that's how I knew about Working America. And Working America had started in 2003 specifically to help bring people into the labor movement so we could talk to them about elections. At the time, there was election campaign finance law that didn't allow us as unions to talk to the general public. So we said, we're just bring the general, we're just bringing the general public into the union. That's fine. And then what we found was that, talking to people on the door 5 days a week at their home was a very comfortable place for not us to just talk about politicians and why they should support them, but also to talk about issues that are really important. It was a really great way for us to cut through the 40 years of think tanks and message that the Republicans and the conservatives and the businesses had really artfully crafted. And we just came into people's homes like an organizer,
Right.
and started talking to people. And so Working America's really changed over the 10 years that we've been around. And now we're working on workplace issues. We're working on the minimum wage here in Minnesota, increasing the minimum wage. And we're talking to people about collective action and talking to them about have you thought about not just jumping to a new job, but when it gets bad, but staying at your job and changing it. And we've found that this is a new idea to a lot of people, that unions or collective action even has been something that they have thought is something of the past that happened during the Industrial Revolution, and there's really no need for that anymore. However, the issues that they talk about with us at the doors, with our canvassers and with our community organizers, because we now have community organizers, are definitely issues that, if they banded together with their fellow workers, they could change at their workplace. So scheduling, safety, yeah.
So you find an individual at the door who's unhappy with conditions at work, and their idea of what they can do about it is what? Find another job.
Yeah, and we sign them up for Working America. We say, hey, what's great about people being involved in the AFL-CIO is they get a great amount of information about the issues that are affecting working people every day, like around healthcare or outsourcing and stuff like that. And so we want to make sure that you're in this network of information, so you have information at your fingertips about that stuff. But also, you said that, you're finding that your schedule at your retail job, for example, that you're working at is unmanageable and you haven't had a day off in a month. Well, that's something that we want to talk to you about further. And a group of people are coming together and meeting and talking about these issues and seeing about what we can do. Are you willing to get further contact from one of our organizers? And, so we have people self-select that way. And a lot of people say, well, I'll be a member, I want to get the information. And that's fine. We put sign up as a member, get their email, and we'll get the information. These people that self-select that want to become a little bit active, want to know a little bit more, we mark them, and then we have a community organizer actually follow up with them and try to get them involved in a typical way that any community organizer would. So,
And involved in what?
Well, right now we have groups that we call community action teams, and they are coming around, they form around different issues. And we have one that is focused on retail, and thinking about how those retail workers can actually form things about their industry and think about retail as an industry. And not just a job. Okay. This is a career. This is a major industry in our country right now.
And with other people who are working in that industry, you can organize to make things better.
The retail industry is actually the largest job class in Minnesota. More people are employed. It's the fastest growing industry in Minnesota, so more people are becoming employed in the retail industry.
Is that because of Walmart? Or?
Not just Walmart, but if you think about the Mall of America,
okay,
right? If you think about all of those different stores, you have a Best Buy, you have a Gap, you have various different, and those are all retail stores. Walmart's considered retail, Target, then you have Costco. Different kinds of grocery stores, that's all retail.
I was surprised I don't go shopping a lot, but I was in the Mall of America with my Irish cousin last week. We went into a store, and I was surprised at the age of the people who waited on us. They weren't kids. It was mature adults. It made me wonder. I think a retail is not being a very good paying kind of work, but obviously people are either it is better paying than they think it is, or people are having to do it, even mature men and women.
Well, I think retail is not high wage, it's low wage work. Some people start out as minimum wage. A lot of times, depending on what they're titled, a lot of times they'll be given maybe $1 raise here or there, and technically a manager. And a lot of times then that allows the corporation to let them schedule them for whatever and not have to pay overtime. And so it's really led to a lot of chaos in people's lives. But also, when we outsourced a lot of different traditional industry, a lot of our manufacturing and things like that, people who were at the top of close to retirement, weren't quite there and needed to find another job. And because retail is the fastest growing industry, that's where, and it wasn't affected as much by the economy. That's where the jobs were without retraining. Sure. Unlike healthcare, where you needed some education to go into most healthcare jobs. And so, which is also another big industry. So,
but we should get back to Working America. Yeah. Let's talk about, so this is a,
so we're the community.
In my experience, Working America was back, as you say, when it first started. And I can remember, we were working down southeastern part of the state, and there was an election, and the union volunteers were going to union member doors, you know,
Mhm.
talking about the election, talking about issues and candidates. Working America was coming behind us, or sometimes ahead of us, going to the non-union doors in the same neighborhoods, you know, working class neighborhoods. But it was focused on
Yep.
electoral politics about that particular election, and they were very effective in signing people up, seeing who was interested, and then as the election drew closer, you know, I presume they did a mailing to those individuals, and probably some phoning to do, you know, GOTV on the day of. But you're saying you've moved beyond that to a broader kind of
Yep.
conversation beyond just electoral politics.
Yes, we still do electoral politics.
Okay.
So this last election cycle, we were involved in 29 legislative races, won 26 of them, and so we still have the best canvas when it comes to election work. We don't actually skip doors anymore.
So you'll go every door?
We go every door, even union members, and
Okay.
so having conversations with people about.
And what's the thinking
election.
about that?
We've just gotten very, like, a lot of things have gotten very sophisticated. So not only do us as Working America, but the Minnesota AFL-CIO, or the Minnesota AFL-CIO through the national, have databases now that help us parse out universes and
Okay.
just work smarter together. So, I mean, we still work together with Minnesota AFL-CIO to make sure that we have a plan, but it's definitely extremely strategic due to resources.
Sure, sure.
And so, you know, we were very excited with the amount of work that we were able to do turning the legislature back. We think that we've got the most sophisticated canvas because of how we talk to people at the doors, and part of that is because we talk to people year round, and so we're a year round campus. So they're out there 5 days a week, you know, and so people are starting to get familiar with us. We've become a trusted messenger, and because we're a trusted messenger, like, we have a higher contact rate with people. We have a 36% contact rate with people at the door in most places. Our Working America members and the general public, when we talk to people, vote at the same rate as union members because of the information that we've given them. And then we added what we call Canvas Plus, which is we have a communications team that does media, online ads, Facebook, Twitter, all of that social media, along with mail that's targeted to make sure that they get a contact in every way that they like to receive information. So there was a study that showed that, like, people like to open their email, like, to get their electoral information. Well, we have that information. We know that we'll send that person an email, and they'll also get a knock at their door. So because of that sophistication, it's been really nice.
Yeah.
But also, because we're year-round, it allows us to, we talked about right to work at the doors with the general public, making sure that they were calling their legislator to say, you know, I'm not union, but, you know, I think that right to work is bad for my community.
Okay.
And because we're out on the doors every day, we're also able to help figure out what issues are trending with people, what's important for us to pay attention to, like, do they care about healthcare, do they care about, are they worried about tax increases, or are they worried about their schools, and, you know, how does that fit into their life, and also, you know, how are we talking about it with people? We send out a messaging report to our progressive partners saying, we found,
This is what we're hearing. Huh?
yeah, this is what we're hearing. We found that people are worried about, you know, their schools and the quality of their schools, and this is how we talk to them. And this is then how that got them to sign up as a member of Working America. Or this is how we're talking to them about the election. They're caring about their schools when we say that, you know, our endorsed candidates are going to support, you know, this, you know, piece of legislation that's going to help our schools. Then they'll support our candidates. And we feel that we can use that expertise that we've had on issues and election work and attach it to workplace organizing as well to help grow the labor movement. So.
Now, when you sign people up for Working America, do they pay dues?
Some do. It's voluntary, so we do an ask about what people can afford to give, and so we are fundraising, what's called a fundraising canvas at the door.
Okay.
But you do not have to pay to be a member. You can sign up online, or you can sign up right there. And get involved in different ways. So.
And what if somebody says, you know, I've got issues at work, I'd like to have a union at my workplace? I mean, does that happen?
That does happen, and then we make sure that, when they want to have, they were at a specific workplace, and, we can pair them up with an AFL-CIO union, we'll do that. So we'll work with the Minnesota AFL-CIO and Todd Anderson from the National AFL-CIO that's stationed here, and make
So
sure.
you can direct people to,
Yep.
to an appropriate
Yep.
place to get information
Yep.
if they wanted to do that. Well, so what are the challenges?
I think
What's hard about this work?
what's hard about this work is, we have 250,000 members in the state of Minnesota as Working America members, and I think the challenge is that they're in lots of different industries, and each one of those industries have challenges at their work, and each one of those members have issues that they care about. And so what are the most important issues to, bring to the, spotlight and push forward? What should Working America work on to make sure that we're pushing a good pro-family, working families agenda? And so sometimes it's a challenge sorting through everything that needs to be done,
Now, is there any kind of a deliberative body of Working America members that
and
makes these decisions?
Yep, that's
or-
our community action teams that we have. So like
Okay.
I said, we have one that's focused on retail. There's one that's kind of our activist member. They're called our Metro members, and they work on different issues, and they decide about what they think is going to be important for us to work on, and they help us make that decision. But then also, we work with the Minnesota AFL-CIO closely, and that's how we came about working on minimum wage. We wanted to help them push minimum wage to the forefront, and that's why we worked on that. I also think another challenge is some of what we talked about earlier, which is, just this, breaking down this individual notion that has been created. Like the American dream is this individual mythology, right, where someone pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps, or if you don't like a job, you should just go get another one and see if that's better. And how do you then start to have a conversation with people, or how do you start bringing people together to see that collective action is really how they're going to make changes, and that the most successful movements, whether it's the labor movement or the civil rights movement or the women's movement, any of these things where people came together to push something forward, I don't think that workers have had that attention on that in a really long time. And it's just, the challenge is like letting people see that if they come together, if they talk to their neighbor, if they talk to their coworker, that they'll actually be able to stay at the job that they like and they're proud of. But they just need to make it a little bit better or a little bit safer. So
you don't have to do this by yourself.
yeah, I mean,
right?
you don't have to do this by yourself, but also there seems to be an unconscious thought among people in Minnesota that this is just the way life is, and it's not perfect, but we'll get through it, and that's just my lot in life.
Yeah.
And so and breaking through something that's unconscious is kind of hard. So how do you bring that to the conscious forefront?
Right.
So.
It's a challenge.
It is.
So what's the future hold? Where is Working America? Where do you expect to be? Where are you headed?
I think the future is really exciting, and I think a lot of the organizing that's happened in other states around fast food, around what the Walmart workers are doing, is the future, and Working America is looking at that, and we're also looking at different ways that we can bring more people into Working America. So the AFL-CIO has challenged us to be in all 50 states in 5 years, and so we're going to try to do that and create a workers' movement, one big, kind of like one big union.
One big union,
Kind of like the IWW, right?
21st century style.
21st century style. I mean,
no, it's exciting. It's exciting. Yeah.
Those fast food workers out in New York are a real inspiration, I think, for a lot of us that do this kind of work, to see if we can replicate that in places, and see if we can take that and that brave step that they took to strike these corporations and inspire other people to do that too.
Well, and these building cleaners that have was say too. That kind of
Yep,
thing.
the building cleaners. Yeah, I mean, people took real risk and they got reward. Thus far, as far as I know, I haven't heard anything different. But they haven't been fired, and
Well, they've won some lawsuits on back pay and
Yep. Yep.
So if somebody wanted to get involved in this exciting new workers movement, how could people get involved?
Well, they can call Working America and become a member. We have an office here in Minneapolis on Lake Street. They can sign up online and tag that they want to get involved, and we will contact them and ask how they want to get involved. Otherwise, hopefully a canvasser will be at their door.
Sooner or later,
signing them up on an iPad. They don't have they don't have clipboards anymore. They sign them up on iPads, so which is really cool. So
direct to the database.
Direct to the database.
So what haven't I asked you that I should have that you'd like to say?
I think what I'd like to say is that even though that we've had a lot of struggles in the labor movement as of late, struggle isn't new to the labor movement, and we're always good of finding new ways to grow the labor movement and grow again. And so I think it's a really exciting time for somebody who goes through MAPL to use their skills to be a part of the labor movement and be on the new surge of worker justice. And I just think that that's exciting, and we need people who have these skills of community organizing and working with nonprofits and kind of understanding our new world to bring us into the new century of organizing and growth.
Yeah. Well, let's wind up. We started with MAPL. Let's finish with MAPL. Talk about, you're a grad.
Yeah.
You went through the program. How did that contribute to your ability to do this work?
One, it helped me create a network of people. It's really hard to do this work in a vacuum and by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And just the structure of the program means that you have to meet new people, and you have to meet people who are outside the labor movement. And you create relationships that you take with you. I am still in contact with a good majority of my cohort on a regular basis, and they're always people that I know I can call if I need help in their expertise. And I think also, there were people who forced me to think about things in a different way. I think in the labor movement sometimes we get focused solely on how it's been done, how we should keep doing it, because it's just always worked. Mm-hmm. And we're the labor movement. But being in a space where people are forcing you to rethink your world and how you approach something is vital to making sure that the labor movement is continually growing and continually fitting the new workforces that are out there that desperately need a union. And so that knowledge is something that I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else, and it's something that's allowed me to do this work as the state director of Working America. So.
Thanks, Bree. Really appreciate the time. It's been fun talking with you as always. And thanks to John C. And Labor Education Service for making this video possible. And that's it.